Hey, there we got him.
What's up?
Not much. So we it says your host is on fire. They probably are talking about you, not me. I better take my
Yeah.
glasses off. It's so important here. Uh, so we're joined here by Bareback rider NFR, Bareback rider Mason Clements. I'm going to go ahead and ask him some questions. Kind of a new endeavor for us here in the PRCA Media Department, Instagram Takeover. Mason's the inaugural person to join in. We appreciate you for doing that, Mason.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, so we're splitting screens here, a little different, but I'll go ahead and ask you some questions that were sent to us prior to us starting this thing. So one of the questions was, what's your mental mindset, or I guess what goes through your head when you're nodding your head, especially at the NFR or big rodeos, what's going through your mind when you nod your
Uh, just going through all of my shoot procedures, keeping my chin tucked, having a really strong mark out, getting the horse to making my move before the horse makes his move. So being ahead of the horse and being really aggressive out of the chute,
head?
squeezing really hard from pulling my shoulders back to keeping my heels in his neck and making sure I have a strong mark out.
Sure. And this is one of the questions, what's 8 seconds feel like to you? I mean, on TV, TV doesn't really do rodeo justice necessarily, especially when you're like by the chutes and watching these, dominating horses and bulls and stuff. What's 8 seconds feel like to you? And what's it feel like when you have an 8 second ride at the NFR?
Sometimes it feels like 8 minutes and sometimes it feels like 2 seconds. It just depends on the horse. I mean, the difficulty of it, how you feel. I mean, we're all human, right? Sometimes it feels forever and sometimes it's pretty quick.
Right. What was it like the first time you qualified for the NFR and then you went through? I mean, I know this year was different because of COVID and Arlington, but when you went through the grand entry at the Thomas and Mack Center, different cowboys have talked about that. What was that like for you when the grand entry happened? I know bareback riders can't participate in it, but just being a part of that for that first night of your first NFR.
That's when it all became reality for me. Really, I didn't get I didn't get really emotional or worked up, knowing that I qualified for it. I was excited to go, but it just didn't really set in until the lights shut down, fireworks started happening, and they started rolling in all the flags from all the states, and they're announcing, and you're pulling your rigging down. That's when it all hit me, is just a light your fire moment.
Does it, I mean, I don't know if you've done bungee jumping or anything like that. Does it anything compare to that in terms of, like, do you almost have to amp yourself down? Like, it's like watching NFL players during the Super Bowl, during the national anthem. I mean, they're just gotta, like, everything, every emotion in the world is going through their mind. Is that what it was like for you? Like you're trying to, oh my God, like chills, like trying to amp yourself down?
Yeah, I didn't think it would really hit me like that, but it did. And you gotta, hey, take a big breath, get some oxygen back coming, and relax and remember what you got to do.
Sure.
There's 10 more nights of this, and don't get too worked up now. You'll burn all your energy up.
Sure. And some of the other questions we had, when you're not rodeoing, what are you doing? Like, I mean, I know some guys, that's all they do, and most guys, they have different things. I mean, rodeo, it's a business, but it's not the easiest business to qualify for the NFR. It's hard. There's a lot of great guys. What do you do when you're not rodeoing?
Well, I have way too many hobbies. I like to hunt, fish, snowmobile, and if there's like last year, there's long distance and time between rodeos, I'll put my hard hat on and my safety vest and work boots and go to work. Family
Right.
owns a ready mix company here in Salt Lake, and they sure need the help all the time. So any chance I get over there and help those guys out and do a little bit of work and keep the lights on and keep the food on the table, that's what we do.
Sure, sure. Well, what was there a moment for you? I know growing up, guys that do rodeo that are as good as yourself, there's usually a moment when you think, I can do this with the best of the best. Like this can happen. Was there a moment for you where you thought, I can not only compete in the PRCA, I can make the NFR?
Probably right after the college finals in 2014, and I didn't didn't compete as well as I wanted to. My year-end result wasn't what my goals were, and I didn't feel like I wanted to go back to college. That wasn't, in my sights. And I was a lot older when I started college than most. I started college when I was 21.
Okay.
Not 18, and I just wanted to. That's what I wanted my career to be, other than what I was going to school for. So, right after the college finals, I started entering some bigger rodeos and placing in the money, and then getting into Houston the next year.
Mm-hmm.
I was, competing with guys that have been to the NFR, and that was kind of I knew I could do it, but it was just that set in stone. You have what it takes. Keep grinding, keep going, and just meeting the guys that I compete with today and ride with today, meeting those guys, 2014, 15, that all kicked it into play for me.
Sure. We had a couple questions come across as you were talking. Did you travel with Casey Field a little bit or no?
I've traveled with Casey for 3 years.
Okay. What was that experience like? I mean, I know Casey's resume speaks for itself, but how much were you able to digest and learn from him just by being in the rig with him?
A lifetime worth of knowledge, just being in the rodeo rig with him, and being friends with him before we started being traveling partners. Really, that was huge for me. When I met Casey, I wasn't even going to school yet.
Oh, okay.
And not even in college rodeo yet. I was just starting out riding bareback horses. I barely knew. I met him one time, and his dad, I barely really knew all of his accomplishments and what he did. But just being around him as a person, as a friend, and watching him getting ready for it would have been his 4th world title, and hanging around him for that was, I still take everything that he showed me then to getting ready for my NFRs now.
Right. And I remember when I asked you in the runway at Arlington, when Casey had the rewrite, I said, you think he's going to get, because he had to have a 90, I think, to win it and to win the world. And I was like, what do you think he's going to get? And you're like, he's going to get a 90 and win the world on Junior Bonner. And that's what he got. Like, I mean, know, but I mean, that had to be kind of crazy too, right? Knowing Casey, and I mean, you probably knew him better than most guys and see him get that ride.
He's a guy that when he's given a rewrite and a second chance, everybody else is kind of screwed at that point. He's one of those guys that it's going to be better the second time around. He's going to perform better. The horses usually perform better. He's pretty sharp.
Sure. And along those lines, along this kind of line, what advice would you give? Well, I guess, when did you start bareback riding and taking it serious? And what advice would you give to the kid out there, or maybe a teenager that has that dream of the PRCA gold buckle dream?
I have a lot of young kids, 14, 16-year-old kids ask me that question. And I just tell them, go to school, be a student, and get good grades. Go wrestle, go play football, baseball. You still go ride horses or do the bull riding. But honestly, the bareback riding is so physical that at that young age, your body's just not ready for it.
Right.
You take a beating, and to be this competitive, you have to be completely healthy after your body's matured. I didn't start riding bareback horses till I was 19. And so I kind of had and played a lot of sports growing up in high school: football, baseball, motocross. Learned to be a team player then. And then when I finally decided I wanted to try riding bareback horses, it was a little easier, I guess.
Okay.
Because I had a little more strength. I had a little more
Like grown.
maturity on my mind of, fight through the tough moments, seconds, really,
Right.
and make it to pass the whistle, get off on the pickup man. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough when you're that age to really comprehend all of that.
Sure.
And so if you've let your body mature and your mind matured, and you've got it in your head that riding 8 seconds is how you do it, and getting off on the pickup man is how you make it to the next rodeo and get a paycheck, that's huge, and it will pay dividends later on. So keep the dream and keep the fire, no doubt, and keep watching videos and riding the spur board, riding your rope horses. That's big, big, big.
Sure.
Anything you can do to be on an animal, that's keep the fire and keep the dream. It'll come.
And Paul Mayo, a Pro Rodeo Hall of Famer, just passed away January 24th, and he and his brothers, and I learned this through the writing the obituary, that they taught that kind of laid back style on the bareback, like before, Lenderman was straight up, like not riding it laying back, but they thought they could get better push. That seems like crazy. It's like you're laying on top of a horse. I mean, that's probably got to be part of what you just talked about, though, right? Because of your neck and the way you're laying. It's almost like laying on top of a bull in some ways that's bucking in, and you're laying like parallel to him.
Yeah. On a bareback horse, everything wants you down and forward.
Okay.
And so you're lifting with your hips. You're not necessarily pushing against your rigging. You're lifting and trying to pull that horse's shoulders and his front end up off the ground.
Okay.
So you're almost like pendulum weight, trying to lift him and help him get more altitude and more air so that he can kick harder and better, scores you more points.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I came up when I did and had great teachers to teach me how to do that.
Sure. Is there, you mentioned the mental game, and like even it ties into workout stuff. I mean, as competitive as the PRCA is now, I'm assuming you have to work out all the time and mentally be sharp. I mean, when you show up at rodeos, I mean, even when guys say, oh, it's just this rodeo or it's that rodeo, even our smaller rodeos, well, especially during COVID, because everybody was traveling to the same rodeos. But, I mean, you have to be on top of your game all the time, right?
Yeah, no doubt. If you're looking to go to the finals, you've got to you enter every rodeo, not just because it's somewhere to go and get on, but you look at the rodeo as it's one of those keys to get you to the NFR.
Right.
And so you enter that rodeo, you have the mindset of winning that rodeo, not just entering it to go ride because that's the only rodeo.
Sure. And you've been on both ends of this spectrum. You got in closer, and you were 16th one year, which is the worst. You'd probably rather finish 116th than 16th. What's it like emotionally when you get in and then when you miss by one spot?
It's a sucky feeling. It's shitty. It's not fun, but I'm a competitor, I know where I messed up and where I could have improved and what I could have done better, and took the lesson and roll on. What else can you do? I mean, I gave it 100%, but I know that there were some errors and mistakes, even giving it 100% effort. It's just part of the game. It's a competitive sport, and bareback riders are only getting smarter and stronger and better, and it's just how it goes.
Sure. I know COVID changed everything last season. It's still lingering over this season. How hard for is that as you guys I know last year you guys were driving everywhere in Timbuktu to get to rodeos just to try to win money to get to the NFR. how does that adjust your mindset this year? Do you just, I mean, I know there's certain rodeos that have been postponed and different things. How does that affect your or impact your schedule for 2021?
I think having the same mentality and game plan as we did about mid-season last year, it was make sure that you're going to enough rodeos to stay in the hunt for the top 15. But at the same time, it's also a benefit because we don't have to burn ourselves, or our chances of getting injured aren't as great, right? So just have that mindset. It might be $2,000, it might be $10,000 at a rodeo, but you still have that same mindset of staying strong, staying tough, and competing to win.
I know we have people joining in here, and I'm glad you're joining in. If you want to say hello, that's great. Ask more questions. We've got Mason Clements here, NFR Bareback rider. Please ask more questions. I'm asking the ones I see, and I know people want to let their friends know that they're joining in, and we appreciate all this as well. It's going great. While I have you here, Mason, when you go on the road, you're on the road all the time in this business. Is there a favorite place you like to go eat? Like there's one place that you get to a certain rodeo that you know that we're going to eat here?
Oh, if I fly to Texas, the first thing I do when I get off the plane, I love to have some Whataburger.
Oh, wow, you're a Whataburger guy. You're not an In-N-Out guy?
I'm an In-N-Out guy, but we have it here in Utah.
So you see
So
it all the time,
it's
right?
it's a typical here, but Whataburger, we don't have Whataburger, so I got to go get some Whataburger.
I got you.
We go to Houston. Around Houston, it's crawfish season, so
Mm.
we usually stop in there. We're in Houston for, a good week or so. Got to hit Papados, have some crawfish or the Raging Cajun.
Nice, nice.
Yep. In Stephenville, got to go to Hard 8.
Yeah, so you got to go to the
That's a hard one to beat.
I'd never been to the Hard 8 until when the finals is at the NFR, and man, that place doesn't let you down.
No, it doesn't. Never.
That place is totally legit. That's one place, and I wasn't in Steve. It was right outside of Arlington because it's like 20 minutes away from the NFR where we're at. How about when you're on the road? Is there music you listen to in the truck, or is there you're watching video going down the road, or are you the driver in the rig? I mean, how does that all go about?
We alternate driving, but usually when we get in the rig and it starts off on a 4 or 5 day trip, we talk quite a bit. We just BS going down the road, and we talk about everything under the sun.
Right.
But listening to music, it's a little bit of rock, a little bit of rap, some country, everything. Watching movies.
Sure.
Yeah. Get out. Go check out just some sites.
Sure.
Whatever we can do to kill some time, if we have time. Most of the time, if it's not COVID, we don't have a whole lot of time.
Right.
So.
I got a question here from Sarah Clement. Is that a relation to you?
Yeah, it is.
He said, when were you most proud of yourself, like in terms of rodeo?
Probably. Oh, most proud. I think just right now. I mean, still competing and still going after. There has been a lot of setbacks and a lot of injuries. I mean, I'm just proud that I have that mentality to keep rolling on and to keep fighting. It's part of the business, the ups and downs. You're going to have them, and I'm proud that I keep overcoming the adversity of it all.
Sure. I kind of asked this question before, and we might have answered it in another question. Is there a bareback rider you'd pay to watch? Like you've seen the best of the best. You've been to the NFR. Is there one guy, like they always say, like Michael Jordan? There's certain guys that if I'm in the sport, I'm going to pay to watch that guy. Is that guy out there for you?
Can I pay to watch myself?
You pay, yeah. Well, you'd have to read on the DVR, right? You'd have
Man,
to.
I think anybody that was at the finals in 2020, any of those top 15 guys,
Okay.
I'd put money on any of those guys. If I wasn't competing, absolutely.
Sure. And that kind of brings to the other question that rodeos seems different than a lot of sports. Like, it's so competitive in other sports. It's rivalries like Auburn and Alabama and Ohio State, Michigan. Like, there's families and generations that just don't like those teams, and you can't like those teams. But rodeo guys will lend horses or lend equipment to guys that are beating them for the same world title or to get to the NFR just to help them out. That's kind of a weird dynamic in the sports world we live in, but that's got to be cool to be part of, though, right?
Yeah, I think it's awesome, and it's not it's an individual sport,
Right.
but it's not as cutthroat as you'd think. It's everybody knows the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into making the NFR or being at this level, and I think we all appreciate it. And so if we can lend a hand for anybody, we do it. Sure. Without any questions. I remember in 2016, me, Richie Champion, Jesse Davis, we had the rig broke into, and somebody stole all of our equipment, and it was the last 3 rodeos of the season. Jesse and Richie were right there, like 15th and 14th, and I was 17 or 18, and all of our equipment was gone.
Oh my!
We showed up at the next rodeo, and I think it was like Wyatt Denny, Cash Wilson, and another bareback rider. But we just, hey, would you mind swapping equipment with us as soon as you get off, and we'll talk to the contractor and the judges and make sure that they're all right. Just hanging on just seconds while we swap spurs and put our gloves on, because that's all we had, and everybody was cool with it. So, I mean, Wyatt Denny got off of his horse, came back, put his rigging on my horse, and I put his spurs on my boots, and I had to ride his glove and rigging that I've never rode before to try and make some money to get into the top 15.
And that speaks to rodeo. I mean, you just don't see that like in baseball or basketball or the NFL. I mean, it's so intense. And not that the competition is not as intense. It's just the helping hand. A little bit maybe in motorsports, guys will go over and crews will help guys build engines. Guys break stuff during rounds or different things, but not. It's pretty rare, and so that's what makes rodeo so cool. Is there one rodeo that you won that's on the number one to you so far? I mean, outside of the NFR, and is there a rodeo that you want to win that before you call it a career that, hey, I want to check that off my bucket list?
What I won would be either the Ram finals or San Antonio. Those were on the hit list, and I would love to do it again. I plan to do it again, and I have numerous rodeos, not one, but they're just numerous. Cheyenne, I want to get that win. I would love to get Calgary and Pendleton.
Okay.
Houston.
Sure.
Any of those big prestigious rodeos those are on the hit list. There's not one specific one, but yeah, I want all of them.
I got you. We had a question here. Who's your favorite neighbor? I wasn't sure who that was from. I take it as someone who lives by you. You can choose to answer that if you want.
Favorite neighbor. I got great neighbors. But there's another family just a couple houses down. Jeffers.
Okay.
They're a team roping family. Yeah, and we have pretty good conversations. Good to hang out with them, see them. They're awesome people. When I'm gone, they take care of anything I need. If I have any problems going on at the home, they're awesome. And then another buddy, Quinn Broad, up the street, he's awesome. He's always asking if he can do anything.
Now that you said, I think it was from Quinn.
Yeah, they're great. They're awesome. I have awesome neighbors.
So we have an off the wall question here. Have you ever had a weird fan encounter? This is a G-rated Instagram, so we don't want to go crazy. Like I've seen stuff in rodeo, but would you ever had a weird fan encounter? Like, wow.
Oh, man, there's always one at any of the rodeos that we sign autographs at. There's always one.
I got you. The one person that's your biggest fan.
Yeah,
As long as you don't end up in a cabin in the mountains somewhere.
unless my mom pops up and yeah.
I got you.
Mom, we got to sign autographs.
Oh, I got you. Well, we did have another question here. It was from, and I apologize who it came from exactly, but she said I believe it was uncle rode into his 40s and doing bareback. And how much has bareback riding changed just when you started just to now? Has it been, I mean, I know like baseball and it's all about launch angle and all this crazy stuff and analytics and Major League Baseball and even in football and stuff. Has things changed like that in bareback riding even in the last 5 years stuff?
A little bit. I think just little tweaks here and there. Nothing huge. You know, it's just, however, when I started, it was just pretty simple, right? A pair of bareback spurs and a standard high lift, but everybody's kind of finding their own little niche on what angle they want for rigging, what angle they want for spurs, the length. And that's just something that you have to find for yourself.
Right.
It's nothing that somebody can tell you that this is what you want because you're this size, and
right.
You have to experience it to get what you want.
You're getting several propositions about, looks like women wanting to go live with you, but I won't ask those questions either.
You're going to have to fight my fiance, and I'm probably, I'm 100% sure that's a no.
Okay. Well, you answered it. So you have a
I appreciate it, though.
What's your fiance's name, and when do you guys have a date scheduled? I know COVID's made things crazy.
Yeah, it's Brianna.
Okay.
And we're going to get married June 5th.
You guys getting married in like Park City somewhere? Or Utah?
Here close to Spanish Fork. It'll be in Mapleton. Yep.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. Hopefully we got everything wrapped up before it gets too close.
So some of these questions are off the cuff. If you were a superhero, what superhero would you want to be?
Deadpool.
Deadpool. Why so?
Yeah. I think he's hilarious. He shoots some sweet guns, got some cool moves.
Yeah, he's got a great sense of humor.
Can't really kill him.
I give him that. I like Deadpool. That's good. Is there a guy out there that you ride with that is a superhero? Like that's like is there Yosemite Sam out there in the PRCA? Is there someone that's just off the wall guy that like normal fans wouldn't know?
Man, I would say anybody I've traveled with. Gildan, Casey, Cole, Layton, all those guys, top notch, and have their own powers in one way or another.
Chilton looked like he was a drummer from like Metallica in the 80s with that hairdo he was rolling. Did you give him any comments about that?
I thought he looked like somebody on the Kiss band.
Well, he didn't
a Gene Simmons guy.
Right, he'd have to put his hair up in a ponytail and have to have the platform boots.
Yeah, no kidding.
The demon on him.
No kidding.
Yeah. Did you take part in that Yellowstone thing? Were you part of that this past year? Did you get to
the rigging rally or the show?
The rigging rally. Were you in the show?
No, I wasn't in the show, but I was at the rigging rally in Darby. Yeah.
What was that like?
It was awesome. I mean, it was cold. I don't know how cold it was, but it was cold enough to snow. It was cold enough to snow, and the arena was, a foot of mud, and they packed that little arena, and everybody stayed through all the weather, the wind, and the cold. Everybody stayed to watch, and it made me happy and proud to be a bareback rider. That that many people wanted to come to that little town in Darby, Montana, and check it out.
Had you ever been to Darby, Montana?
I've been through there quite a bit, but never really stayed and checked it out. and hung around town.
I have to ask you, you're an outdoor guy. I'm assuming you've snow skied?
Yep.
What's number one, Park City? I mean, we're in Colorado where, I mean, we have all these great ski resorts, but is there one ski place that you love skiing at?
In Utah?
Well, Utah
Or
would,
just in general?
yeah, well, Utah, or there's just one place you've been that you loved.
Man, I really like Big Bear in California. That was fun.
Okay.
Steamboat,
Steamboat.
going to Steamboat for the downhill, that's always a hit. But if I go ski here, I really like to ski canyons in Park City. It's just big mountain. They've since Bell's bought it, it's a lot of mountain to ride. You can go. I don't know if you can do the whole thing in one day.
Did you get to go to Olympic stuff when they had it there in Park City? Were you too young?
No, I mean, I know it was going on, but we never really went up there to check it out.
I was just curious. Crazy.
I don't know if I would have liked it then either, but too busy, a lot of people.
What's the craziest, like, I know I bungee jumped a couple of times. One, because I was getting paid to write about it. The other time, because I wanted to do it again. But is there something done that was, like, exhilarating, similar to rodeo to you? Like bungee jumping or skydiving, anything like that?
I think anytime I go snowmobiling, I kind of shock myself and get the just butterflies like I get after I get off of a bareback course, and it was a lot of points.
You're not gonna.
Anytime we go up through a steep mountain with a lot of trees, and you got to be really technical and not get stuck, and or come off a cliff and you're going 15 feet, 20 feet down, dropping in. There's not a whole lot of feelings like it that compare to bareback riding, but that'd be one.
You're not going to try to get in the X Games, are you? You're not that guy, are you? X Games.
Oh, I tried that once with the motocross deal, but
it didn't work out.
Didn't work out so high. That's why I picked up bareback riding.
I remember you told me you broke like 30 bones doing motocross?
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
Is motocross more dangerous than bareback riding?
I'd say they have their own place in what's to be more dangerous, but they're both very physical. Motocross is a lot of stability, strength, and endurance. Mm-hmm. Bareback riding is similar, but I mean it's only 8 seconds compared to a 45-minute race on the track.
Sure. So. We'll give our listeners, viewers that are joining in, will be the 10-minute warning here. We're joined by Mason Clements, NFR bareback rider. It's great speaking with Mason. He's joining us to split screen here, modern technology. If you heard in the background, we're in the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame here in Colorado Springs at the PRCA headquarters. And yes, they do vacuum at night. So if you heard that, that's what they were doing, unbeknownst to us, but they keep this place clean. It's an unbelievable place if you ever get a chance to visit. So that's my plug for the Hall of Fame. We did have another question. Do you have a specific routine that you go through for like every rodeo or certain rodeos? Is there certain things you do? And we had a question. Are you in the process of trying to qualify for the American this year?
So my process of getting to a rodeo and getting ready to put my rigging on, it's pretty much the same. Maybe not the order every time, but the only thing that I really do is pack my gear bag the same, so that when I get to the rodeo, it's all in the same spot. I know where it's at. Some days I feel like I'm warm and ready to go, and other days I feel like I have to do a 15-20 minute warm up to get the blood pumping and feel loosened up and relaxed to nod my head and do my job.
Are you in the mix for the American this year? Are you trying to qualify for that?
So the top 10 after the NFR are seated at the American. So I made the top 10 last year to be in this American this year.
Oh, wow. You've been there before?
Yep, I have. I've been there one time and can't wait to go back. I love riding in that big arena and riding against, you're riding against the top 15 again, and or a couple qualifiers, wild card guys, and for them to get there is they can be just as dangerous. So I can't wait.
What was it like being in Globe Life? I mean, it's $1 billion stadium, it's a baseball stadium, and then going next door to the Taj Mahal that Jerry Jones built, AT&T Stadium. Those got to just be like amazing venues to compete at, right?
Yeah, they're awesome. The horses bucked so well at the Globe Life, and it's different, than Thompson Mack. Not all the fans are right on top of you, and it's the NFR. And for the American, the American and the NFR, the feelings are pretty similar because of you're riding for $500,000 and a prestigious gold buckle or an American buckle that not very many guys are going to have.
Sure. So. We kind of talk about this new technology and different things that are out there. How much is you being in the sport and as good as you are, like the Cowboy Channel and the Cowboy Channel app, has it helped your friends and fans? I mean, I know that the exposure to rodeo has become a lot more from our end of it, but how much do you think that's helped just the rodeo business?
Oh, I think it's helped tremendously because everybody that's not able to make it to those rodeos, family, friends, spectators, fans of every event, they can follow it along and be right there and stay in tune. I mean, you're not just having to wait for the results to pop up online.
Sure.
You got to watch it live and experience pretty much everything you're going to get in the seats.
Sweet.
I love that they have it and as much as they've covered. I think it's great.
Appreciate that. Where's the next rodeo for you? Have you been off since the finals, or what's next for you?
I haven't been to any rodeos since the finals. First one back, we're going to go to Rapid City on the 6th.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
What's that rodeo like? I know Rapid City they had the tour finale. They've had different things there. I know it's cowboy country there in South Dakota. What's it like competing there?
In January or February, it's cold. That's all I can say. They always have a great crowd. They have great stock that comes, and it's one of the first rodeos you go to of the season. Not much more you can ask for.
Sure. So we got the 4-minute warning here. We had a couple other questions, and a lot of them had to do with just mental preparation and different things, and you kind of addressed this. Do you almost have to, mentally speaking, you almost have to have a short-term memory when you ride at your level? Only because, like, your great rides are great. You've won money, but if you got bucked off in 2 seconds, you can't just let that linger, correct? Like, oh my gosh, especially when you're on the road, how do you analyze that stuff?
When you make a mistake, you're going to make mistakes. The easiest thing to do is, recognize where the mistake happened and how it happened, and correct it in your mind and make a perfect ride and forget about it. It's your body's not going to know the difference between whether you're playing it in your mind 100 times or you're actually riding it. Your mind doesn't know the difference. Sure. So fixing it in your mind and riding it perfect, and then going on to the next one.
In the technology we live in, I know back in the day and this predates you, but like Tony Gwynn, a baseball player, was like one of the first guys that would watch video of every pitcher and every at bat and every pitch he had. Do you guys do anything like that with video? I mean, even with phones nowadays, you guys watch rides and critique yourself and think, hey, or watch other NFRs or other bareback guys that think, how do I get better?
Yeah, I like to get videos of my rides as much as I possibly can, and especially of the finals, because that's there's 10 nights of it,
Right?
and I get to see myself get on every horse, you know, and I get to fix all those little mistakes. Maybe I didn't make a mistake, and even if I won the round, there's always going to be something that you can get better on. And so if we're drawing horses at rodeos, we know Wyatt or Casey or Tilden and Leighton, we know those guys got on them. Do you have video of that horse? We can, run back and check out that horse and just kind of not really play how you're going to ride it in your head, but just subtly imagine how it's going to feel. And just a little bit of visualizing, because you will burn yourself out because your mind doesn't know the difference. And so by the time you get to the rodeo, you're going to be drained and feel like you've just been on that horse 10 times.
Okay. We have a thing in here. We got one from Jesse Davis giving you the applause. We have Mason Clements. You're the goat. You're the goat. You've joined Tom Brady Company as the GOAT, so you have that going for you.
Well, what's up, Vegas Davis?
Nice. So we got a couple other questions we'll ask, and then we'll let Mason Clements, our bareback riding NFR guest, get on. But is there one ride that sticks out to you? I know, like golfers, they remember every shot they ever take, and they remember all the bad shots. And I mean, I'm sure bareback riders remember the bad rides or the chance where you had a chance to win a rodeo and it didn't work out. Is there one rodeo that you won, or a ride that you think, man, that's the ride I remember? I mean, I know you're young, you're still competing, but is there one ride that sticks out to you right now?
Not specifically one ride, but I think one horse. Every time that I've been on Onion Ring, like I've just felt on fire and like I've done everything perfect. So
is that like almost like a ballet dance in a way, like the rhythm? I mean, I'm just saying rhythm wise, when you've had a great ride, the rhythm's got to be incredible, right? Like it's almost like
it's effortless. It really is. When you're in timing with that horse and you're setting your feet and you're beating him to the ground, meaning before he makes his break and kicks and lands his front feet to, hold his weight and your weight on the ground, your feet are setting his neck and you're laid back. You're in that pocket, that sweet spot. It's effortless, and it just begins to be automatic.
I know Onion Ring's up in Rapid, but I don't think you got him. I'm not sure who did, but
I think the bareback riders got the short stick. He went to the bronc riding, I think.
Bronc riding wanted to switch. Well, I appreciate all the fans for joining in, all the guests. Mason, it's been a pleasure. This is kind
Absolutely.
of adventure here, but it's been a great playing along, and we've had tons of questions. And like I said, Mason Clements here joining us, NFR bareback rider. We're going to let him go. Thanks
for having me. This is cool.
Yep.
I hope you guys do more of this with more athletes and get some more people joining in. Thank you for everybody in the questions and watching. This is awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mason. Well, safe travels going forward. Congratulations with you and your fiance. Loved having you as a guest. We'll stay in touch. And this is Tracy Renck with the PRCA signing off.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thank you.